Folks, how's it going? Happy Easter. A bit belated, I know. Listen, this one, I won't lie. I'm never one for telling lies. Well, little white ones. But not big ones. Look, behind the eight ball with this, I got to apologise. It's been one of those days, obviously a frantic weekend. Loads going on. So a couple of people I wanted to get on, haven't been able to get hold of them, whatever. So this is how we're going to do it. I think we're going to be getting Bob Buchanan on it in a moment. I've just sent him a link. A few others I tried to get hold of, couldn't do them. So we're going to very much have to depend on you guys tonight. So up here in the comments, Cliff Mora, I'll bring it up. There you go, Cliff. Why are we waiting? Well, because I'm a busy man. Sorry to keep you waiting, Cliff. But tonight, here he is. Let's bring him in. He's saved the day, really. Before I bring him on, though, let's just bring up the fact here that what I was going to basically say is we want you to get involved tonight. There we go. We're going to be talking about, predominantly I'm going to want to talk about the Huck Cup and the Mike Brown Memorial. I went there at the weekend. That was amazing. And then also on to Foxhill. Now, obviously, Foxhill was the Revo. Foxhill, great venue, nostalgic, all that kind of stuff. And there was some great racing and stuff went on there. So we can talk about that. But he saved the day, as he so often does, for many a goggle guy in the UK. So get these comments coming in, folks. As we're talking through this, definitely want to hear your opinions on stuff. I'll just get rid of the banner going across the bottom here. As I said, a little bit behind the eight ball tonight. So I'm not very professional at the best of times, but particularly today. But here he is, the man whose goatee has grown back almost seemingly overnight. Bob, because I don't know if you saw this, but Bob Buchanan, by the way, everybody, or BB as he's known. Evening, Bob. Thank you for helping out and saving the day with this one. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, she's back.
Yeah. So, in case you didn't know, Bob, for the Jude Morris Racing Foundation, had a bit of a shave off, didn't you, with Ashton Dickinson? Ashton is losing the old noggin, like you and me both. So, look at that. You are so Ben Kingsley. It's mad. So, tell us, Bob, how much money was raised by that wonderful gesture?
We got 1,600 quid,
which is amazing.
Yeah, we raised 1,600 quid. We were just going to do this shaving thing, like you say. Ginner was losing his hair and wanted a bit of a push to get rid of it. The comb over wasn't working anymore, so needed a bit of a push. So I said, well, I'll shave your beard off. I mean, I shave your beard off twice a year anyway because it starts to itch or whatever, so it's no hardship for me. And like you said, it's back in 2 weeks anyway. So. And I did stitch him up with the clippers as well, because I don't know if you've used clippers.
I use clippers on a regular basis, Bob.
Side, you can make the thing longer or shorter, so it cuts more or less hair. So I did mine on the long set, and then his on the short one. So we stitched him up a bit anyway. But yeah, we chucked in a pair of Jeffrey's Nations goggles, and somebody paid 900 odd quid for them, and we raised another odd. So I kept both the Jeff's goggles from Majora, both races. I've got one in the cabinet there. Top shelf there. I've got one in there, and with Conrad's and.
It looks good, Bob. I've got to say, I still haven't got around to dressing this little office here properly. I will do that. But you've got all your old team shirts up there from when you used to run your GL12 team.
Oh, yeah. There's Mikey Crashes and Jimmy Dunn. I see Jimmy at the weekend. He was there.
Yeah.
Gold plates and stuff. There's the different carnations of GL12 around there. There was that kids crew we had a few years ago that was Bobby Bruce and Ike Carter and Joel Rizzi and Tom Murphy and Sam Nunn and Carl McNichol. That we had all those together. That was.
See, look, and this wasn't scripted, by the way. I was already wearing this today. Look, there you go. I'm not a factory pilot, but I'm showing the love. I'm showing the love.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I mean, obviously we've been a little while since I've done one of these shows, but it's been a good Easter weekend. Oh, I've had a good Easter weekend. I can't legislate for what you've been up to.
So's Harry Koulas, isn't he?
Hasn't he? Let's start with that. By the way, you can see that going across the bottom. For those of you tuning in, we are going to be predominantly talking about obviously the Revo British Championship. So let's start with that. At some point I want to get on to talk about the Huck Cup, which was a great event in its own right.
No, I didn't go that. I was busy getting the goggles ready for the weekend. That was Everybody says that was a good job.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was really, really good. But going to it's the British Championship. We're kind of in there now, aren't we? We're settled, as in, most championships coming into their second round, or certainly the big two, if you want to call them that, with the Revo, and we've got Landrake coming up, the MX Nationals. Seems to me the start of the year was always a bit manic this year with, maybe you'll answer this from a product point of view, still on the back end of COVID, like getting products and stuff for teams. And
we've been emailing today. I can't get laminates for love or money. I've literally, we haven't got any, and I've been buying dribs and drabs from dealers and stuff. We cannot get laminates. There aren't any. Factories have got, stuff's all laminates are made in one factory in Southern California called Racing Optics. They make them for Scott, Smith, everybody, 100% us.
Well, you see, they say that you learn something every day, and that is a fact that I would have never thought.
Yeah,
they're all made in the same place.
They got the copyright, they got the patent, and they don't want to make the stuff bigger. They're happy with what they're doing, and everything's got to come through them. So Racing Optics make everybody's laminates, and you're kind of stuck if you're not in front of the game. If you haven't ordered enough, you've got to wait for your cycle to come back round before you get any more. And if you're out, you're out. And we're out. But luckily or unluckily, if we go back to Foxhills, British Championship, for the reasons I get of the environment and everything, the whole series this year is a tear-off ban. But if you looked at that track the weekend, stony, dry, it's a nightmare for roll-offs. Canisters get hit off, film gets split. But, I get it. So it's what you do. But, so I didn't need laminates this weekend because it's a tear-off ban. I need them I've got enough. I'm going to Latvia Thursday. I've got enough for that. But,
It's been that's the thing, though. Obviously, we're coming into second round, as I said, of Revo's been and gone. Landrake's coming up. We've had the first round of most of the other major UK championships. All's good. But until, I suppose, a lot of people probably wouldn't realise how difficult it has been. I'm not going to be banging on about COVID all the time, whatever, but we are still very much in the thick of the aftermarket effects of it in our industry. And it's been a difficult start of the year for a lot of teams.
I don't think it's just our industry. I think it's the world in general is just behind. But we'll get there. But
going back, so let's start, like you said, obviously one of your riders. So perfect place to pick up the conversation on the Revo British Championship of the weekend. So let's start with the MX1 class. Koulas. From what I saw from Harry on the close areas I got to the circuit, because they kind of made it a bit more at Foxhill that people watch on the top now. You used to be able to go down the hill and get close to the track.
Yeah, along the veranda. You used to get along the veranda and that, didn't you? But,
but up and down the finish, around the finish area, I went up there for the second race and watched around there a little bit.
Smooth,
his bike wasn't even. You had a job to hear his bike, which is on a hard pack, because it got hard pack quite second motor in particular. And he was certainly riding the taller gears, and
he was gone in the first one. He got away, and he was riding and he was just smooth as. And he even had time to look across coming down the step down at the clock, and he knew he had a good enough lead. And they actually did an extra lap in that first moto because Harry ran the clock down, but the girl who was doing the board and the flag didn't realise he'd run the clock down, and they went off and did another lap.
I saw that.
She didn't put the 2-lap board down. Harry had enough presence of mind because, he's stone cold, Harry Koulas. He doesn't just go ice swimming. He's got ice in his veins. And he looked across, saw the clock, saw he had a big enough gap behind, rolled it off, ran the clock down, then off he went on what he thought was going to be his last 2 laps, but they wanted he had to do 3 because she didn't realise what he'd done.
Yeah, I saw all that unfold. He actually come over the jump before the finish, leading down into the valley. That big jump, that step down, and as he went over that, he looked across and saw the clock. I was right there. And anyway, yeah, so I saw him slow down, and then as soon as he, but this is the thing that I started to, I wouldn't say panic because I'm not involved in running the event, but clearly they missed him with the board, and that sometimes happens, it does. But he couldn't wait too much longer, but he had a nice healthy lead. But then I started to see the battle between Searle and Gilbert hot up, and obviously with the controversy, if you want to call it that, for a better word, from round 1, I was thinking, oh my God, now what's going to happen now then if they can't count that back lap, and if Tommy passes Gilbert on what effectively is the last lap of the race,
and then it gets taken back one.
But it wouldn't be the last lap of the race. I was thinking, from a standpoint of view from the organisers, I was thinking, oh Tommy, please don't overtake Josh. Otherwise, we're in for even more shenanigans going on. But it didn't happen. But Kulas was looking good. So that championship,
and then the professional, he's a journeyman motocross. He jumps in the van, nips across the tunnel, goes to the French International, and wins 3 there.
Yeah.
The weekend he had a 4 out of 5 weekend and won both, and he did win that by some distance.
He's looking. He's always strong. That's the thing, obviously he's won championships. So, had a great season last year. But he's seen.
Give Harry a sniff of it, and Harry will be there.
Well, I think he's looking like stronger, even stronger still. I know it's early days, but he's looking stronger still.
I seen Lee Webber at the beginning, and he because I do the team's goggles, and Sam's shoulder, Dan's shoulder. So this is injury of choice.
Yeah.
He went, he said, I'm worried we put too much pressure on Harry now.
But he thrives on it, doesn't he? I think he does.
You can't put pressure on Harry Kulas.
No.
But so Lee was worried that Harry was going to be carrying too much pressure into the weekend, and he goes and wins it.
Injury aside, which obviously is part and parcel of the sport, you don't want to see that happen. But as it stands, coming out of round 2 of the Revo, and how close it was between Harry and Tommy last year for it, it's like the football really with Liverpool and Man City.
What's the points now? I looked on my.
Well, here we go. That's
normally you can press the championship thing at the top, and it comes up with the points, but it's not there.
Oh, okay. Well, I won't bother doing that. That's what I was just going to do.
Well, it won't when I did it earlier. I ain't got my phone with me, so I've just come running in here unprepared to do.
Well,
this.
You and me both. As I said, because I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball with tonight's show, because being brutally honest, I completely forgot I had it scheduled in. So that's why I started late, and that's why I called you.
I didn't have it scheduled in.
No, that's why I called you in an absolute panic.
Yeah.
But anyway, here we go. Let's try and find the results here then to see what the points gap is, if I can find it. But that's
anybody else now? Is there anybody watching it, or is it just me and you?
No, there's people. There's plenty of people watching. But
anybody know what the points gap is?
Let's do it. It might be up now, Bob. Here we go. Right. See, this is the beauty of live unscripted TV, for a better word. 2022 British Championship. So the gap at the minute, Tommy Searle currently has a 14-point lead after 2 rounds. There you go. He's on 95 points. Kulas is on 81. Sean Simpson is in 3rd on 72.
He was kind of not there this weekend, Sean. He was obviously he was there and he's got some good points, but he was not in it, was he?
No, I saw some of his.
I don't know why. I didn't get a chance to speak to him, so I don't know why. But
I think I heard a comment on on Tommy Searle's vlog where he was in the background and he was making comments about how sketchy the track was and hard pack.
Yeah, not a Sean kind of track, is it? Ling will be a different kettle of fish. He'll be swinging at Ling, won't he?
He will be, but going back to sort of the point that I was heading towards is like, obviously it was close. It went right down to the last round last year between Tommy and Harry, and genuinely, if they all stay injury free, which of course is a big ask, I see Gilbert and Simpson being sort of closer to in this fight right to the end this year. I really do. From what I've seen
Josh
so far.
Josh is riding really well, isn't he?
Yeah. So you've got.
It's a shame he hadn't managed. Why is he not doing the GPs? Money, I suppose.
And I think the team have made a decision to.
They're going to do some AMA, aren't they?
Yeah, some AMA races as well, which will be cool. So here we go. Look, Mark Gain has just noticed that you've got Conrad's British plate on your wall. I didn't see that. Where is it?
Here, up there.
Oh, there it is. Nice, tidy. I've definitely got to sort my stuff out. Evening, Chris. Good to have you with us. So again, just going across the bottom, if you've got any opinion or what you saw, if you went to Foxhill or whatever, let's be hearing it, and me and Bob will do our best to dive into it and give you our opinion. So the MX1, I think that is going to go the distance. Like you said, coming up next is Ling, which you would suggest, or quite rightly, that
Sean's going to be back. Sean's going to be back at that. He likes Ling, but then Aaron, you wouldn't choose between them. And I mean, Yak's riding well as well. Yak had a mare in the first one. He come off right on that top corner by me, and then Drew Anderson smacked his bike out of his hand when he was trying to pick it up. So he was nowhere, and he had to go in and get it straightened. But he rode nice in the second one. I mean, it's a good national championship. It's just a shame it's not an international standard championship. But we've had that conversation before.
Yeah, we have. I mean, I don't. Again, that's another conversation.
It's a good British champion, and there's no standout rider. It's going to be close. You're going to have different people winning, and different orders behind, different podiums. It is going to be a close championship.
That's what I mean. I think some of those that were on the peripheral
all of a level.
Yeah, some last year were on the peripheral of being title contenders, but just didn't quite have it. And I think some of them this year would have stepped it up a little bit. And just going to say, Ashton Dickinson,
he was, he had a real good second moto. I mean, he's got head problems. I mean, he's got he's
got a shaved head problem.
No. He's still suffering from that when he got run over in Latvia or wherever it was last year at a GP. That's why he missed the Bridgestone. But he'll be up there. It just needs different people mixing it up. MX1's a better prospect for a championship than possibly MX2 is.
Yeah, I would say so. I'm looking at the list now in front of me.
And also MX1's not going to be affected by the clash at Ling, the Majora Ling clash, because there's no GP riders in it. So nobody's going to lose anything by not going or whereas
which
MX2,
we'll get onto that. We'll get onto that in about the MX2 in a minute. But again, looking down this list in front of me, other riders that I thought, but I know Brad Todd's always got a turn of speed, but he had a good, was it second motor at the weekend? I thought he was particularly strong in that. He's currently sixth in the championship, and I have to say,
I mean, him and John Adamson were just hitting lumps out of each other.
It's good, isn't it, when you get two aggressive riders?
And Adamson went down behind the finish. They were just hitting lumps out of each other. It was, I think, gnarly is the word that springs to mind. But
yeah. So the current running order is Searle, Kulas, Simpson, Gilbert. Dickinson finds himself in fifth. Then it's Todd in sixth, and then Walsh in seventh. Who, again, turn of speed, but maybe just the whole.
For me, Dylan ain't a big bike rider.
Well, I think deep down, he probably feels the same.
Yeah, he's a class act. He's lovely to watch. he has flashes of like absolute brilliance, but I think he struggles with the big bike a bit.
Yeah. Just
But
had a comment come in from Cliff Mewse, which
I'm not driving to Latvia, Cliff. I am
no,
not driving the bike.
That's not what he asked. But in a minute, I'll bring Cliff's comment up, because inevitably we are going to probably touch on that. So in MX1, I particularly enjoyed this sort of face-off in that second race, and the strategy, for a better word, between Searle and Kulas, because Kulas kind of dropped off a bit, which you know he does. He's got this thing of like thinking of when to push. You know, he picks his moments. He definitely started to raise the bar again. But credit to Tommy, he had something in the tank there to deal with that, because he came at him once and then dropped back a little bit. And I kind of thought, you know, he's backing off to have another run at him. And, you know, I don't mind admitting it. The second run, I thought, you know, he's gonna have the strength or whatever, or Tommy's going to be a little bit under pressure or tired. But I got to say, Searle handled that particularly well. And in the end, I think he set the fastest lap of the race on pretty much the second to last lap, or last lap, Searle. So it just goes to show.
We'd had a talk about that as well before the race, because what I was talking about with the Stone smashing canisters off and breaking films, last round at Landrake last year, that happened to Harry. He was stuck behind right on Carrot's back wheel, on Millward's back wheel, for about 3 laps, and he had a stone split the film, and it came on a bit of rain halfway, and he struggled to see, because it's the only time that my goggles have ever let Harry Kulas down since 100% days and anything like that. And I'm not saying they let him down. It's not, you know, you can't do anything about a stone splitting a film.
No.
And we said about that, if you're in a position, don't follow. And yeah, so he would have been thinking about that as well, to sit on Tommy's back wheel for like 6 laps or something. It's better to drop off and then come back and have another go.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what he did. But yeah, Tommy's no fool, is he?
I'll tell you what.
Tommy's been around the block a lot, hasn't he?
Oh, he absolutely knows to do it. I saw it.
People don't give Tommy Searle the credit he deserves, in my opinion.
No, he's I've said it time before, you know, Tommy sometimes plays the fool, plays it down a little bit, but he's way more switched on than he actually makes out. And certainly with that, I'll tell you where I saw it.
I mean, I'll put my hand up. MX2 days, I was too harsh a critic of Tommy Searle. I get on to with Tommy great now, and better than before. But you know, Tommy's taken a lot of stick over the years for being, I don't know what people's perception of him were, but he used to get some horrendous stick from the British motocross fans.
Yeah,
should we say fans, keyboard warriors back in those days. He's taken some stick off him, and he's come back. That vlog thing he does and all of that, he's come out of his shell. And no, I credit to Tommy, and he's right. I think he's enjoying riding the motocross bike again.
He is. I spoke to him in the week,
and it's nice to see. I mean, he got on the tunnel. Him and Carrot went over and did that French International.
Yeah,
you know, I don't know how they got on. I haven't seen the results. To be fair,
Tommy, I think, had a second in one. He didn't have such a good one in the other. Actually, I've got to say this. And the reason I know that is because I was fortunate enough to get a phone call from DT this morning. Believe it or not, it called me at what was it, about 20 to 8. Mr. Thorpe rang me up. His number come up on my phone. I thought, oh,
what have I done?
I wonder what this is about.
Headmaster's office.
Yeah. So, but you know, he just rang me up to tell me how much he liked the Conrad Mewse Man in the Van that we did on the weekend.
Oh, what bad timing that was!
I know.
End of the day, you should have done that.
I got him in the van between motos.
When I saw it come up, I thought yes, and then it's the middle.
So, by the way, a shameless plug on that respect. If you want to see the Man in the Van interview with Conrad Mewse, it is on Dirt Hub's YouTube page. I did that on the weekend, but between motos. So
I got to be honest, when I saw it was between motos, I didn't watch it.
So unfortunately, I got the timing a little bit wrong with that. I think, to be fair, I don't think he would have wanted to sit in the van after the second moto anyway, really. So maybe
I spoke to him afterwards. He didn't.
Maybe I got him a good time. Going back to Tommy, I at the Huck Cup, I saw a kind of thing there where he's still got the track craft. Of course he has. He's got loads of experience, but Gilbert had gone in the second race, just checked out. And Tommy was riding around and got into second. I know it's the Huck Cup, Mike Brown Memorial, so you can argue it's not really for a championship, whatever. But the boys were still racing really good and hard.
There's probably money involved, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
well,
Conrad started to close in on him, and then I could absolutely see Tommy just switch in his brain. He's like, I could just let him go, but there was no way he was just going to let Conrad have him. I know Conrad was riding a 350, and for several laps there at the Huck Cup, Conrad was trying everything he could to get past Tommy, but Tommy's track craft was so good. And in the end, actually, I caught up with a pair of them after the race, and as good as Conrad said, man, actually, it pissed me off in the end that I couldn't get past you. In the end, I basically just gave up because you were just showering me with stones. I just couldn't find a way past. So Tommy's track craft is definitely still there. You mentioned Jake Millward a little.
Tommy nearly won a world title, didn't he?
Yeah, many times over. So, so a few others in the MX1 class. Obviously, like you said, Carrot, Jake Millward didn't have the kind of weekend he had.
Carrot was just. I didn't see it. Carrot was nowhere. I didn't see him. He normally he'll get a start in one of them, won't he?
Yeah. But his starts let him down at the weekend.
And Liam Knight. Liam normally has a good start. But that first turn at Foxhills is tricky, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's tightened up more than ever.
It's tight, not a lot of room. If you're going in hot, you go straight on.
It kind of reminds me of most of the Supercross starts where you come in hot and if you actually hug the inside, it's a real sharp corner. Few of them try to do that, but
less speed and you're going to come out somewhere handy, aren't you?
Easier said than done, though. But on a whole, before we get on to the MX2, because there's plenty to talk about there, it was good. It was a good turnout. Easter weekend, weather was good.
Track rode all right, to be fair.
I thought so. Yeah.
There looked to be a good crowd. I was quite busy. I didn't see much of it. Could walk through the gate and just on that corner and have a look. It looked good. The paddock looked good, set out. It had a funny atmosphere to it. I think not one that I couldn't put my finger on what was quite not right, or not right. But maybe it's just because I was busy. I didn't get a chance to mingle, but. We got a lot of riders out there now.
I think obviously, there's to a degree, which it
was probably a bit of a hangover from the last one.
I think so, which we're kind of getting to. Obviously, without we all know there was a degree of call it controversy if you want, protesting from round one. I think that was still lingering around.
Clinton wasn't there, was he?
Yeah.
He was not there from the legacy from that. I don't know. Yeah.
So I think that might have something to do it, and that's not that I'm not trying to detract from the championship racing because the racing was good. As I said, there was a healthy crowd there. The sun was out. Some of the I would say maybe
85 big wheel race was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There was some good racing because down the years, the last couple of years, I'd say, maybe not couple, but a few before that, when we've been to Foxhill, it has been in some cases a bit of a sort of procession, really, and not too much racing going on.
One of the best MXY2 races we've ever had was at Foxhills. Carter and Rizzy, do you not remember?
Oh well, that I do remember, and
They were
going way
about a
back.
minute gone from Carl McNichol in third, and that was
Yeah.
just some hell of a race.
Yeah, we have seen some great racing there as well. I seem to remember a really good race between Carter and Woodcock as well one year in an 85 class. Can't remember which national it was though. But so
Look
the track,
that, just behind my ear there. Look on the wall. 117. Look, there it is. See it?
Oh yeah, I can see it now. Yeah.
Next to Mikey Crass, in between two Mikey Crass shirts. Yeah, shame, eh?
What's happening with that? You speak to Ike more than me. Is he still just looking for a ride, or is he just giving up on it?
No, I don't know whether he's given up. I don't know whether he's given up on it. He must be fairly jaded with it.
I meant giving up on trying to find some support is what I meant.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think he's just waiting for my lottery numbers to come up.
I am too, Bob. To be fair,
you think about it. Under 23-year-old 250 rider to go into EMX 250 from England that would qualify. Who we got? Carpenter, obviously.
Yeah.
But who else?
So what age group did you say then?
EMX 250.
Yeah. Not too many at this present time that are jumping out.
He would, though, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
we've had that conversation.
We have
before.
We have that conversation. Come on, then. Let's get.
Come on, then. Let's not put it off any longer. No. I'm gonna start this whole thing. This is not stirring the pot. This is for a better word. Media.
I'll just say I've helped Conrad for a long time.
Yeah,
that's the best I've seen him ride a motocross bike.
Well, I've got to say,
second moto, the aggression, the speed, the sheer will to win. I haven't seen Conrad ride a bike like that since an 85, probably. I mean, he was shit on a 125, wasn't he? He did nothing on that.
Well, you can say that.
Eh?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll let you say that.
If he was sat next to me, he'd say he'd agree. Yeah, that second moto, way he came through there. He put passes on J-Law and loads of other people just the same as that. That was a hell of a ride. And Brian Connolly said to me exactly the same, because he said, "Oh, I wish Conrad had ridden a bike like that." You know, everybody loved that ride. That was the Conrad we all wanted to see. Fast, aggressive. He was just going to win that race. I was stood next to Joe Haskin on the corner, and he said, "Conrad's not going to win this." I said, "Conrad's going to win this."
See, there you go, Bob. I was the same. I went, well, the best, I was like, get to top 5. I said maybe a top 3. Never, even with like 10 to go, or I was thinking, to be fair, Carpenter's, quite a ways ahead. I didn't see it happening. I really didn't. And then once he had he seemed to go even faster. Obviously, once he had clear real estate between him and Carpenter, which was amazing. So look, this is a much talked about debate. So we're not doing anything different other than we're just openly talking about it here. And it's not stirring the pot with process weather. This is just as we see it. So
there wasn't a protest.
No, that's the point, right? That's the thing. And the Hitachi team,
they didn't put a protest in.
No, they're getting it in the neck. Yeah, they're getting it in the neck a lot, and that's the point.
They got some horrendous comments on social media that were completely unfounded. They didn't put a protest in.
No. But either way we look at it, again, I'm not going to get into the whole finger pointing thing too much. It's caused a lot of controversy. This is Cliff's watching. This is, by the way, for the people that don't know, this is Conrad's granddad, Cliff, who has supported him all through his races. Clearly, that's Cliff's view on it, and he's not alone with that. Obviously, reading some of the comments that I've seen on varying social media sites and people's personal opinion.
I don't agree with that at all, Cliff. I think that word there, good, I don't think that does it justice at all. If I had to change that statement, that's not a good second race. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing.
But yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and then he's gone on to answer your question about earlier about driving to Latvia. So there you go.
You won't believe Ando's been trying to get me to drive to Latvia. Who else? Grimshaw's been trying. They've all been trying to get together to get me to drive to Latvia. The flight was £14.99 from Lolsgate.
Yeah. Now,
are you going to drive all the way across Poland and Germany and Lithuania when you can go down to Lolsgate and get on an EasyJet? No, it's not EasyJet. It's the other one. What's the Ryanair?
Jet2.com or whatever.
Ryanair's £14.99 to Riga, and I'll get in the hire car with Shady and go down to the track. No,
I was thinking I must get Shady on it at one point, but that might need more prep before we do that.
Yeah.
Listen, I've got another guest on.
Let's do first moto MX2 then.
Hold on. Before we go any further, I've got another guest on because I, as I said, because it was lastminute.com, I was going to do something with Stephen Clark, but I couldn't manage something with him. So I obviously you saved the day, but I also put a shout out much earlier on in the evening as well to try and get a rider on. Said rider was Stu Edmonds. Since we've been on air, he's since messaged me saying I'm now finished at the gym. We've got no hold on. We've got no proof that he was at the gym.
Who's this gym he's just finished with?
Right. But he has. I've sent him a link, and he's popped up in our little green room. So I'm going to bring him on. Defend yourself, Stu Edmonds.
I'm going to defend myself. I don't know if I can turn the camera. I'll do this. There's the gym.
That's not a gym. That's a
That's a burger bar.
That's a KFC.
And that's me sitting outside the gym in the van, still in the sweaty gear, just to come on the show for you, Jeff.
Oh, mate, what a trooper you two are! Because I was, obviously a loose
end. How are you, Stu?
I'm good. You?
Yeah, good. Thanks.
Stu, you missed
weekend, Stu.
We don't really want to talk about my weekend.
Yeah, we do. Let's talk about it because we've been talking about MX1.
We've been talking about MX1. We didn't mention you for some reason.
Yeah. I was the one at the back of the pack. I was the one that was crashing, stalling the bike, having terrible starts, struggling all day. That was me. I struggled all weekend, to be fair. It just wasn't my day. My favourite track, Foxhills, something that I really, really enjoy. I literally just couldn't get with it, and I struggled, and I'll openly put my hands up and say I had a terrible day.
What did you think to it? What did you think to it? We thought it rode well.
I think parts of the track definitely rode okay. There's other parts of the track could have been adjusted a little bit better to create a little bit more lines, because it definitely was hard to pass. But then, now that I say hard to pass, I did watch what you were just speaking about, Conrad absolutely annihilate the whole field in the MX2 race. And I literally said to myself after that race, I said, I can't really complain about not being able to pass, because he's just had to pass another 30 riders.
Yeah.
So, but like from my point of view, it was definitely hard to pass in a couple of sections. And then there was sections that the track was really, really nice and it cut up well. And then there's obviously other sections that wasn't too good. So, but look, I think the effort put in was good, and the prep was, I suppose, it was great to a point where they tried changing a few things. Obviously, that didn't work and stuff. So, but it was good to see the club putting a bit of effort in. So. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It was good to see them putting a bit of effort in. So,
what do you think to the water? What do you think to the sprinklers?
Yeah, they worked, didn't they?
Jeff, you're not saying.
Sorry, I thought you were speaking to Stu. What do I think? Sorry, what did I think of the sprinklers? The principle's great. I think they need tweaking because it's not covering the full circuit. But this is something they can clearly now look at. One thing, without pulling them up, other circuits do this too, by the way. From a rider standpoint, I think to make a little bit of a safety point, again, other tracks doing it. The blue piping, I've always got reservations about that being so close to the side of the track, because sometimes you make
Landrake.
Yeah, right. So
on the table at Landrake by the finish, right down the sides.
It's a great idea in principle, and I don't know. Obviously, it's very difficult to bury all the piping, but I think in some cases, Foxhill is a good example. As you come off the start and go down through the valley for the first time, all the piping is on the left-hand side. Whereas realistically, if they somehow got it up on the right-hand side along the bank where people stand, you're never going to have that. Because I've ridden off the side of that bank a couple of times in a race. And when you hit that blue pipe in, which I've never done because I never had it when I was around, it's good night Vienna. You're not staying on. Your wheels,
Yeah.
you just go. So love the idea of a built-in sprinkler system. I think it's great, but I just think it needs to be safety-wise. Just needs to they need to tidy up on that. And
yeah, I
obviously,
witnessed somebody last year in Landvik come off the track, made a mistake, come off the track, went to go back on the track, and actually went down because of the piping. So yeah, I completely agree on that there too. What you're saying.
But it's good. It's good for Foxhills because the dust
absolutely
has been horrendous.
Now, in fairness, that last race, it was a struggle, especially the first 2 or 3 laps. Like it was very dusty, especially all that back section.
Harry said the same.
It was still very, very dusty now. In fairness, like even though they had the system, but it was still ridiculously dusty for the first few laps.
Yeah, which as I said, it's a tough place and it's getting tougher.
Yeah.
I mean, the track's not past its sell-by date just yet, but obviously the topsoil's gone, and no matter how much they bring soil in, it's very difficult. It's going to take loads of time for it to bond and net to the heel. So, but certainly the sprinkler system brings something to it because you're not going to get a Bowser up.
It's nice to see it trying anyway, isn't it?
That's the point I think we're trying to make here. Like it's under new sort of.
The paddock the paddock's nice. It's a proper track, isn't it? It just needs.
It's still got something to offer, and here's my other take on it from a rider's standpoint. Being probably a bit old school, I'd like to think you'll both agree with me. I think we get too caught up now with having these perfectly groomed circuits. And I think a motocross championship should be spread out or contested and won over varying conditions. To have all 8 rounds or whatever rounds of it as championship with great soil and similar terrain. It's not. You're not
testing the rider, I suppose. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that sets our sport apart from like road racing and stuff like that, isn't it? It's just different conditions. You're dealing with different terrains, you've got hills. Yeah. It's not a flat thing built in a car park. At least it's a racetrack, not a practice track.
Yeah.
How many rounds do we get at practice tracks?
Yeah, too many.
There you go.
Yeah.
Can you think of any?
No, that's another thing. I think it should be, if there's practice tracks that are championships going to be run on them, I think there should be some sort of ruling made that like the track is completely changed so that it makes something new rather than the standard everyday track that they've been using throughout the year. And when it comes to a championship race,
and you shouldn't have practice days on them the same week.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
And just because you change one little corner doesn't necessarily mean that it's a changed track. Like I think there should be 50% of a change.
It's not hard to flatten a sand pit and build a different track, is it?
Obviously, in my position now, being a bit more involved with the MX Nationals and all the stuff I'm doing with Steelhawk as well. It's an issue, obviously one that's not going away. Finding enough venues, new venues, is not easy. That's another debate for another day. But certainly, I think we're getting to a point where if we could find 1 or 2 new national venues to mix it up a little bit would be good.
Also, I mean, you look at that British Championship, you look where they all are. It's like a south eastern championship. I mean,
well, here we go. Look, somebody who posted this early on, Derek Folds, if you're still watching.
I mean, where are they? They're Cullum.
There we go.
Cullum,
Derek.
Foxhills, Canadaites, Ling, Blacksall. I mean, Ling, Blacksall, Canadaites, they're all East Coast.
What about Ireland?
Look, Bob, check this out. This is a comment from Derek Folds. I think more directed at me, really, to cover it maybe for Dirt Hub or whatever. But when are you going to come up to Scott? There's loads of tracks up there. And, of course, Stu. Obviously,
would you go to Tain, Stewie?
Yeah, I was there last year for the first round of start. Loved it.
Yeah.
I think if you book Tain into the right time of year, as in,
there's
the right
so much ground up there, you could build it. And he'd build whatever track he wanted, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, and then Ireland.
Gilbert, though,
it's good. Larry Kessel, first to jump on that.
Yeah, but what about Tony Craig then?
He has to travel down all the time.
Yeah. Tony Craig's got like 4 hours before he even gets to England. Never mind. Yeah.
Right.
You as well, Stewie. And Rich McEwen and all of those.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, by the way, Larry Kessel lives in Cornwall.
Yeah, Gilbert's. Yeah.
So obviously we're going down the Landrake next for the MX Nationals, so it'll be happy with that. But Stu, Ireland, across the board, both Ireland and Northern Ireland has got stuff to offer. I know that the MX Nationals tried as much as they could to try and get something sorted there for this year, but we were still coming off the back of COVID. We were just on the cusp of the pandemic, not when the season started, but you've obviously got a plan way ahead than that. So it was still up in an air. But I know that the MX Nationals really do want to try and get to Ireland or Northern Ireland at some point, because
it depends what happens with the desert, doesn't it? I
mean, it's got
what's McCulloch's place? You've been to McCulloch's place. What's McGilligan Park like?
No, McGilligan's amazing. Absolutely. Like, that's another potential track that can have serious amount of racing on it as well. There's so many tracks up north, and there's a couple of tracks down south as well that can definitely hold an MX Nationals or a British Championship. But obviously it's getting it organised, getting the date set, and then obviously trying to get people across and stuff like that is obviously the hardest part for the organisers.
I'd like to think that, certainly, just because of my involvement with the MX Nationals, I know that's being discussed, being talked about for the future, for sure. I'd like to think that the
British Championship,
Revo and Gareth are looking at the same thing. Should be. But you're right, Bob. I know what you're going to say. I'm going to jump in there because I'm pretty confident you're going to say a British Championship should be spread out around the Great Britain. Absolutely.
Should.
I agree with that.
Surely there's tracks in Wales.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be used. There's plenty of tracks everywhere. And even, I think there's also tracks that have plenty of potential and that are not necessarily an everyday week practice track, but they can obviously have potential if you do a bit of work to them, change the track, then you can have a paddock area as well.
Maybe
areas.
Maybe Stu, it's a case of some of these people that they're not coming forward approaching the Nationals, but if the Nationals approach them, they might be more willing to go, okay, well, I'll invest into the circuit and try and bring it up to speed. Not always with the circuit, with the infrastructure, because obviously just like GPs, Nationals seem to have more riders with the youth classes now, and so many families, they all come in big motorhomes. It's all changed obviously since my day, so it's not just a case of building a good track, as I guess we've kind of found out where we're at with Thorsway. We're still waiting on an answer for that, aren't we, with regards of the tracks built, but I guess at the minute there's still ongoing negotiations with parking and stuff like that.
Well, that's the thing with some of those the practice tracks we go racing at. The paddocks aren't big enough. They're not. It was that first round of the British. I mean, that paddock was.
Well, it's same. It's the same. It was the same at the MX Nationals. Obviously,
Cullum's got the MX Nationals. I meant not the British.
So the MX Nationals.
The
MX Nationals. Yeah, I mean the plan there was to obviously get on the grass between the hard standing with all the campers, and then the minute it rained heavily, that was it. There was no room, and it was a squeeze. So you definitely need the infrastructure to do the job right. So Stu, I'm going to put you on a personal mission then. Not that it's my agenda to do so, but as I've got you on here,
find us the track, Stu.
Yeah, basically, Stu. Stop pissing around.
I've suggested some tracks from Ireland, and I think Paul and they come over and had a look at some as well, so they could be in the future. Obviously, there's some talks being going on. There has been. We just have to wait and see what those things, I suppose.
Yeah.
Has the P&O thing made much difference? The ferries,
they go mainly from Belfast and stuff, but the ferries I get them are Irish ferries, then a line from Dublin Holyhead. So. But I think P&O have they've made a bit of an issue for a lot of people. But I don't know. You still have other ferries options as well, so it's not too bad, I suppose.
Other ferries are available.
Yeah. Whether it's the same price or not, I don't know.
But anyway, Stu, stop piss-arsing around at the gym and get out and find British motocross and decent tracks in Ireland, will you?
Yeah.
Come on, boys, MX2, Foxhills.
Yeah, come on. I've just got the results up now. I've got the championship results up. So, look,
first race.
We've kind of touched around it, but first race, obviously Conrad getting it done. He did get it done. Gifton came in second. Yeah. So as you kind of were, but a solid first moto for Jamie Carpenter, who ultimately has ended up with the overall, which is amazing.
Yeah.
which is amazing. You know, either way, what happened to Conrad? I mean, you know, he won the MX Nationals.
Yeah, nobody gave it to him. He had to be there to take advantage of what happened. He had to have the right results to be able to win it. Nobody gave it to him. It wasn't like, here you are. You know, Conrad's not winning it, so you can have it. He was there. He was in it.
Yeah, he still had to put the laps in. And
John,
if
I was watching, John, just because you've obviously jumped in there, I suppose we should actually say that he's also riding a GRT Impact KTM, John, as you're watching, as you've got your, obviously John as a mechanic has won many pro races before, but your first.
Yeah, well, John was there with Ike at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, with Embo.
So good on them, you know, on the team for taking Jamie on, and fair play for Jamie for putting the work in, because it's clearly starting to show. Stu, as a rider, did you expect...
Yeah, I was watching. I missed the first race. I only seen the first couple laps of the first race, but I was watching that second race. And in fairness, like I was very surprised at Jamie and also Tom. Jamie, when he got in the lead, he rode a really solid race. He didn't make much mistakes. He was like inching away from Tom each time, and Tom also rode really well. And it was surprising to see the two boys holding it together. Well, like, I know myself, when you get into a position like that, like, there's a lot of things. Like, if you're not there, week in, week out, there's also pressure in your mind. There's pressure on the body. There's things you're going to be thinking about you're not usually thinking about. So, as a rider's point of view, I completely understand how they did. So, like, Jamie definitely rode really, really well. And to be quite honest with you, I really didn't think Conrad was going to catch Jamie. I had an idea that he was going to hit.
He's another one.
Yeah, honestly, I was sitting in the pit area, or in the holding area, and I was like, yeah, I think there's 2 or 3 laps to go. I was just, he might get Tom, and then maybe not. And then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, I was like, he's going to get Jamie. And I couldn't fit. I was like, how the hell has he just closed on it, like that gap in such a quick, short time? So it was great to watch as well. And I have to give it up to Tom and to Jamie. Like, fair play to them. Like, that was a really good ride from the both of them. And then also Conrad, like, unreal. And I know what you're going to probably ask me next. But
well, no, actually, before we get onto that, have you been pleasantly surprised as much as I have with Jamie Carpenter's performance? Because I have to say,
he rode really well. Even
that's what I'm going to say. Going into the round one of the MX Nationals at Fat Cat, obviously he did good at Cullum, but then at Fat Cat, for him to go 1-1 on a track that was, I never saw that coming. I honestly, I would have never had him down as being in the.
That doesn't just show speed. It shows that he's got the fitness as well. Because Fat Cat was absolutely gnarly, and he's backed it up this weekend by still being up the top, which is great. So to be able to come back two weekends in a row, 2 championship races, and still be there and thereabouts, he's shown that he's put the work in. And it's not just that was handed to him.
You were saying about Tom as well. You got both of those boys who have tried the EMX 250 thing. They've both had a good go at it, and they both say that they haven't done as well as they should, or I don't know whether they should or whatever, but they haven't done what they thought they could probably, and they've gone out there in that second moto and they beat GP riders.
Yeah.
So the work they've done, even going to those EMXs, has proved, worthwhile, which is what a lot more people should do, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but they've been there and done it, and they've gone out there at the weekend, and there's 2 GP riders finished behind them.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been keeping a close eye on Tom, because Tom was with me in Spain for a week or so, and when he goes to the EMX Open, I was actually keeping quite a close eye on him, and he's riding the big bike really, really well.
He did in Arco, yeah.
Yeah, he rode it really well. So for him to do that in the small bikes at Foxhills was great to watch as well. So you can see his potential, and you can see him driving, and the work that he's put in the winter time is showing. So, which is really good.
You're keeping an eye on him, Stu, because soon enough he's going to be another rival, isn't he?
He's coming there. That's it. Yeah, but I have to work harder. This is why I'm in the gym so late, you see, because I have to keep an eye on my work ethic, and I have to catch up on what I've been doing this year, so that the kids, that they can't catch me as easy.
I've got to say, that drive-through that you've gone to, they're taking ages to bring your food out. I mean, we've been talking for about 20 minutes now, and they still haven't brought it out. I'd get back in there and complain. Right, yes. So this is it. We've built up 56 minutes to the question.
Right. So you've had that race. You've seen Conrad come right from the last all the way through everybody. He's put strong passes on Jamie Law and on I forget who else he passed going into the finish, and then he's come down the hill and he's made that pass on Gifting, and everybody's held their breath, and then he's gone on and he's won the race, and then you hear Conrad Mewse, can you come to race control?
Yeah. No,
I didn't hear that bit. I was in the pit.
It was over the tannoy. Can Conrad Mewse come to? And everybody immediately jumps on the fact that Roger's been sat at home watching the live stream and he's got BC to go and protest, because that was the hangover from the week before, and that was none of that. No, that was purely the race director sitting watching a television screen made the decision by himself.
I think when if teams get to a point where they're protesting against other riders taking their riders out, I think there's a serious issue there. And straight away, I knew that wasn't Hitachi. I knew it wasn't the team. It's a racing incident. There's a pass. It's happened endless amount of races and endless amount of championships. I've probably done worse passes myself, and there's been worse passes been done on me.
Probably.
Like,
hold on. Probably.
Most likely.
Definitely.
So, like, when I actually didn't see it.
Ever ridden arena cross, Stu?
Yeah.
You and Ando ever race in Sheffield?
Yeah, there's videos of it as well. But yeah, look, it happens. It's racing. Like, it's like I watched the video twice and I was like, that wasn't that bad. Like, Gifting left the door open. Simple as that.
And that's what Gifting.
What I want to know is, where in the rule book does it say he gets docked whatever 10 place or 10 points or whatever, or 10 positions or whatever they did.
Ungentlemanly riding or something, is it?
Yeah. So where in the rule book does it say this is what the penalty is for that?
Yeah.
So I think that was a bit unfair.
Clearly, when it's not done yet. There's going to be, ramifications of that decision in some crook or crook, not necessarily with the riders, but like you just said, Stu, maybe the rule book needs to be looked at so it's clear.
Yeah.
All those kind of things. Right. From my standpoint, I've been down that hill many times and been racing with people into that corner. The track hasn't changed that much in that section for a long time. And the actual design of the course and whatever kind of lends itself for that happening anyway. It always has done.
Evans and Ollie Coleman.
It always has done. I've run up the inside of people there and made contact. I've had it done to me. There's numerous things. So from my standpoint, when I saw the video afterwards, the first thing that jumped out to me was, right, first and foremost, Conrad was racing. There was no intent to just take out the rider. He was just getting through the field. There was a big old gap down the inside. He committed to the hill. He was carrying momentum. There's even a case and argument that Isaac maybe could have just seen him a bit more out of his peripheral vision and just even backed it off a bit and they wouldn't come together. But Conrad just took his line, went for it. But there was no intent at all, I don't think, from a rider to go in there and knock another rider down. None at all.
On that line.
Both the riders agree with you.
Yeah. On that line, the line that Conrad was using was actually the main line where it went out into the bank. There was a couple of little ruts on the inside. There was a really tight one. There was a bit wider where it ran to the banking. And Gifting, he must have overshot it. And he was a good bit away from the main line. So Conrad actually came in hot on the main line where I would have been using and pretty much every other rider was using. And I think it was just as simple, like he came in and just said, right, there's a gap, I'm going to take it, because he knew that Gifting probably ran a little bit wide. But look, if that was me in Gifting's position, I'd have been dead wide to go, right, there's a possibility of someone coming up my inside there. If I knew he was behind me, or if my board had said, Conrad's coming behind me, I'd have known, like, I need to watch my back here. And like, even in the race too myself, like I was behind a couple of other riders, some of them ran wide, and I actually nearly collided myself by trying to get it up the inside, but they cut down a little bit earlier than I had anticipated, and I ended up nearly taking my own self out by hitting their back wheel. So it's like what you said, it's one of those corners, you're either in tight or you're out wide, and it's a very easy corner to make a clash and make passes as well. So I completely, as a rider, I disagree with what had happened to him, and I strongly think that it doesn't affect us in the future, as in when we're going for passes. Because
that's the thing.
If it comes down to a championship on the last round,
that's exactly.
When it gets a little bit more aggressive, our rider's going to be turning around going, oh, I can't pass him because I'm going to get penalised.
I was just going to ask you that very question. If you were 2 points in front in a championship and you had
you're going to send it down.
You're not going to send it down there, are you?
No, because you're going to be like, if I go send it down here, there's a possibility I can finish either 2 points behind or 20 points behind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, no, I don't think racing should be like that.
Exactly that. If you're 2 points in front of the championship and you're first and second, so there's a 3-point swing from you going, or you're going to lose 10 places, you're not going to do it.
You're going to play it safe.
If it's in your head that there's, they're watching. It's like Moto GP. Have you seen them like they're doing it like course cutting, don't they? Like I don't. That's the thing that worries me. What your take on that particular incident is, then that's your opinion, and whoever made that decision, whether it was Steve McCauley or whoever made that decision, that's his opinion. Okay, he's made it. That's that. But it's not that particular incident that bothers me. It's the precedent it sets for the future.
Yes, exactly, for the later rounds.
Our race is going to be decided on the track or on television.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it's not, it's motocross.
Yeah. So that's another thing. Like, so it was seen on live TV. What if there's a certain area of the track that hasn't got the live TV? Does that open the gate for everyone?
Who's been thinking about this, Bob?
I'm going to do you here, but no. This is right? Like, is that going to be a point where I can do him here because the cameras aren't there, or they can do me there because the cameras aren't there? And then if something happens, and then all of a sudden, he got penalised 10 points, and there's a fella took me out in this corner 10 times worse and broke up my bike, and I couldn't finish the race. What are you going to do about him? Oh, it wasn't on the live feed, so we're not going to do nothing.
Yeah.
So, like, there has to be a bit.
That's what I said. Obviously, the ACU sent a statement out in the week leading up to Foxhill, talking about live stream and that as video evidence, and potentially, how you can gather evidence and what will stand up to them and what doesn't. As in, can you film it on your mobile phone? Is that going to be eligible to standard evidence and whatever? So clearly, the live stream.
I think also there was a hangover from the first round as well. That the protests were put in, they were upheld, then they were withdrawn, then it went backwards and forwards. So there was obviously a thing there that, so they've decided they're going to sit and watch the live stream. So is there a thing in the back of whoever's making the decisions that I need to find something here, or if something happens, I've got to make a decision? There's pressure there on that.
Yeah, of course.
You can criticise the official all you like, but he's just a bloke making a split, a decision that he's got to make in a short space of time.
We all know.
Nobody's had any training for that, have they?
No, it's a really difficult job. And again,
so it's easy for people, as always, to sit on social media and criticise. I mean, the people that have been sending the horrendous threats to the Itachi boys.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
I'll go out on a limb. I'll go out on a limb in that one, and from a standpoint, and just say, if you have done that, you should almost retract it or feel a little bit embarrassed by it. So the sport doesn't need that. Again, you've dived in without knowing the facts. Putting two and two together and making 5 just because of what went off at round 1. So that's the trouble with social media. Obviously, everybody jumps on it straight away, and then the facts do actually come out. So totally emphasised with the Milwaukee Hitachi team, because they are unnecessarily getting it in the neck. When you say, Bob, for example, the rider himself that got taken down, just saying, look, it's a racing incident. What more do you need to know? That's from the rider himself.
But does that happen? I don't know. What's the process? Does the bloke making the decision talk to the rider, or just make the decision?
Here's another thing I think should be a bit more black and white as well. Like, I've gone off round 1 with all the protests and the track cutting and whatever else went on. I think it needs to be set on paper and stone exactly what the penalties are, and so cutting the course, what your penalty is, dangerous or whatever it was. What was it? Whatever happened with what did they say it was with Conrad?
Ungentlemanly right on
Yeah,
the
conduct.
Yeah.
Ungentlemanly conduct, wasn't it?
There should be a complete clear vision of, right, if you cut the track, this is what's going to happen to you, and if you ride like you did in round 2, this is what's going to happen, or else there's nothing at all. So I think there's a lot of grey area with that sort of stuff as well, and probably other things too.
I think a valid point there, Stu, and to summarise that, I think that's probably the what you'd want to come out of all this is total clarity on all these rules and stipulations going forward. So it is clear cut. It's like everything. When there's a degree of like uncertainty, obviously it's going to frustrate people. It's going to confuse people. You never really know where you're at. And yeah, like you highlighted earlier. Okay, so if you are somebody might do a pass that we all might agree on that really was like a takeout. Okay, and that's going to happen at some point. Somebody will take somebody out, and you think,
"Yes, there's grey area. It's going to be
that was below the belt." Okay, and we all accept that sometimes red mist comes down, and that will happen. But what we need to know is if that does happen, what are they getting? What is the penalty for that?
Yeah.
You can't make one.
And who's making the decision?
Yeah, and I think that's that. In some ways, if we're going to spin this on its head and make it positive, which I always try to do.
Well, they got this VAR with football, haven't they? They've got this. They got what's it? A assistant referee, a virtual assistant referee, or something. So if you're having like two clerks out on the course and one watching the feed on the television,
there we go. Here's a good point from Adrian Smith watching car racing. They'd both be called into the office and the video watch and talk about the crime before any decisions. Valid point.
Yeah. I mean, if Gifting hasn't got a problem with Conrad's pass on him, if they're going, it doesn't have to be that incident. I mean, just take any incident. If the two riders go in and I don't see what's wrong with that. I don't see what's wrong with that. Then
then that would have been squashed straight away.
Yeah.
But there would have been no penalty.
It needs to be, if it's going to be that there's going to be a VAR referee, if you will, for motocross, then A, do we want it? And B, if there is going to be that, then who's it going to be? What's their qualifications for making those decisions? And what, as Stu says, are the penalties going to be?
Yeah.
But it's a. I mean, as old school motocross fan, then I would say that's not something I'd want to see.
No, not at all.
And also, I don't want it to be what Stu says, that it's going to detract from the racing because you're worried about what's going to happen. You like the sport, Nick. You like to see it. I mean, watching Conrad come through that field, just carving people up left, right, and centre, and then for one incident that was on film, maybe the others weren't on film, I don't know. For that one incident, then to have that ride taken away from him, that is possibly his best ride ever. I don't know.
I totally agree.
It's not something that I'd want decided on a television.
Like I said, it's not the fact that it happened, but what's marred what is a great ride and a great race. Because let's be honest, down the last few years at Foxhill, which we know can sometimes be a difficult track to pull through from. Like you said, Bob,
Stu said it was. Yeah,
there's been some great races, that you've seen at the sharp end, whatever. But that was the first time in a very long time that I can remember a rider genuinely
pulling his way
through the pack. In that ride, isn't that what we love about this sport? And watching that, isn't that what you think? And that one that bring the public in, isn't that what the crowd want to see? Is that
Of course, yeah.
You don't want a sanitized.
That's what makes the sport so good. Very rarely, like these days, for example, it doesn't happen in motor racing so much anymore because of the technology, the pit stops, and all that kind of thing. If a driver comes from the back to the rear, it's usually because of pit stop strategy and all that. That's what makes motocross so great. Is the capability of a rider at any given day might be so on fire that you see it happen, and that's what makes
Valentino said about when he retired. He said when he started the sport, it was 80% rider and 20% bike, And when he left, it was 80% bike and 20% rider. He can't make the difference anymore because the technology's taken over, and it's. But with motocross, it's still all the rider, isn't it? It's still, the rider makes the difference. And you don't want to curtail that, do you? You want that flow to be there. You don't want the.
It was brilliant. Ian Chesterman just said there Conrad was doing a Tortelli. I guess you're making reference to Tortelli at the British GP there, Ian, one year when he came from. I know because I was in that race. And he exited the track directly in front of me, actually. He collided with Peter Nint, I think it was, over the first tabletop. I can remember it like it was yesterday. All of a sudden I saw a green flash of Tortelli just go straight across in front of me. I'll tell you what, Stu, it would have been a lot worse if those blue pipes had been there. He wouldn't have been doing such a quick then.
You and them
definitely. Definitely would have been a lot worse.
Pipes, haven't you?
Yeah, well, again, just thinking safety.
You're a pipist.
I'm a pipist. Carly Iverson, Walbini's mum there, make a good observation there. Similar pass to what Herlin's made at Caroli at Matterley on the start line.
Look at the GPs last year. The amount of passes that were made.
Yeah.
Like, I could definitely see a few of those passes being docked 10 places if that was the case.
Yeah, you can't do it's motocross.
Exactly.
What's the point of having a sport that's different to everybody else's sport and then making it the same as theirs?
Totally. Well, look, I think that's pretty positive. I think we've got through a lot of good stuff there. And as I said, from my standpoint, it happened. It has happened. Always try to be positive. I think
if something good comes out of it,
absolutely,
then
100%.
Exactly. Yeah, I hope something good comes out of it, and like it's something that I think. Well, the riders obviously have learned, and then obviously the ACU and the British Championship are going to have to make changes and look deep into it. But as I said,
it's a conversation. Then
as I said, it's definitely put. It's made me think a little bit more now because of what's happened to Conrad. I'm kind of gone. I really have to be careful how I'm passing people now.
And that's what I was worried about. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you brought that up because that's what I was worried about.
Yeah.
Like it may not happen down the field. Like if it's a rider coming from down the field, and let's say for example, he makes a pass like that for 10th place, it may not be noticed unless it was in the top 5.
Here's something. I was chatting to. God, I've had so many phone calls today. I don't even know who I was talking to today about this. But anyway, I remember today at some point saying that it's similar, not the same, similar to like a handball in football. Obviously, it gets scrutinised more when it's in the penalty box and people notice it. And what I said today as a kind of analogy is if a rider battling for 25th, 26th had done that, would they have been pulled up?
No, because it wouldn't have been seen.
So... Yeah. So I think clarity is just
another grey area.
Yeah, and that's all we want. That's all you want with any rule book or anything like that. Because it's so. I'd love to think that by this happening, that obviously I really hope that the guys at the ACU and everybody look at all this kind of thing in even more.
And we're not
cool
bashing. We're not bashing them because it's a decision that one person's had to make, and if that's their opinion, that's their opinion.
Yeah, no, nobody's bashing anybody.
If they haven't got any guidance or any rules to follow, they can only have their opinion. Yeah. Whether we agree with their opinion, which we obviously don't, then that doesn't change their opinion. So
I totally agree with that. That's
it's probably not going to make any difference to the British Championship because Itachi will go to Majora for the GP, and Conrad will go to Ling for the British Championship when they clash. So it's probably not going to make any difference to the British Championship anyway.
Yeah.
So
but I think absolutely right. I'm certainly, I'm not into that. I'd like to have a chat, which is obviously why I come up with the show in the first place. But certainly not an ACU bashing that people think we're onto here. It's something that's happened. Let's address it, and hopefully we will get clarity out of it because, the opinion.
The riders need it because of what Stuart said, and that's the thing I was
exactly.
About. And if it's in his head, then it's going to be in everybody's head.
Yeah.
And you don't want a rider hesitating before he goes for a putt. You
For
just want it to
positions,
be a natural flow of a race. You don't want it to be in their head, hang on, I can't pass here because there's a television camera. I might get docked 10 places. It's just going to stem the flow of the sport. It's just going to ruin the sport. So that needs sorting out.
Well, you know, hopefully, as we said, we're
thanks for coming on and saying that, Stu.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was thinking that.
I'm always honest. No point in me sugarcoating it. And really, it's like that's the first thing that I thought of straight away when I seen that happen, and I was like,
that's the first thing I thought of.
I'm going to have to really be careful here.
Yeah.
You say obviously you're always honest, Stu. I'm not so sure because, you know, obviously you're still lying that you've been to the gym for one. Anthony has just said, look, if you could just move over to the passenger side. They must have just delivered his food because been waiting there for the last 40 minutes. These are obviously some good friends of yours. I don't know.
I see him going down in the footwell when they opened the door and put it in.
Mick Fitzgerald, Limerick Mick says you're looking good. I have to say, obviously, this is the first time you're kind of taking my role here because you're doing like a man in the van thing going on here. But obviously, proof that you are in the van because the light's gone completely. Yeah, look, you need better LEDs in there.
Yeah, there's a few people probably haven't seen me that I'm actually in the gym. That's the gym there.
It's West Park Fitness. Looking at it. That's KFC, Bob,
West Park Fitness.
Sure no, it's some diner, and no, it's a burger joint.
Yeah.
There's a cafe underneath it.
Listen,
yeah, no, I'm definitely. I've done my session. I'm finished.
Anyway,
so I'm happy out.
We'll end it there, fellas. Honestly, I really appreciate you two coming on because, like I said earlier on, I had this penciled in to do it with everything else going on over. Maybe I've had too much whiskey over the Easter weekend, but I completely panicked and then thought, oh my God, I'm doing a Dirty Talk show tonight. Guests I had lined up, couldn't get them. So you two have absolutely bailed me out. So I owe you both a drink.
No problem.
Obviously not you, Stu, because you're an athlete. Bob?
Yeah, I'm off the drink now this year. So
yeah, I don't drink either anymore, Stu.
Well, okay. Well, in that case, I'll tip a couple to you two then when I come off air. That's probably the best. That's the best. That's the best I can do. Thanks for bailing me out, and also
no I appreciate being on as well. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I had you penciled down for the next one, Stu, and then so I've just brought you in earlier.
He didn't, Stu.
No, I did. I actually
well, we
did.
can still do the next one. We can talk about something else. I'm sure there'll be something else next time.
No, but what we can do next time is you can come on with your short list of Irish motocross tracks that you've been around this week.
Perfect.
Looking at.
That's a good idea. I could do that too, yeah. And I could also be in the gym if you want me to do it. We could do it in the gym.
You can do
that. That could also work, yeah. We could. That'd be a good one. While I'm working out. I can chat to you while I'm working out.
When you do your PowerPoint presentation of the tracks and why they should go there and why they should not go there, and you got all your punts sticking in your top pocket.
Oh yeah, that's no problem at all. Yeah, that's no problem at all.
Punts, Bob, punts. Only people of certain age will know what the hell you're talking about, and I'm one of them. Oh dear. Fellas, again, thanks for bailing me out. Good topic of conversation there, and like we said, let's hope some positivity comes out of it. I will see you both down at Landrake in a couple of weeks.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Until then, take care. And again, thanks for coming on. Catch up with you later. Cheers, Stu, because you came on.
Cheers.
Ta boys.
See you later. There you go. There goes Bob. There goes Stu. And that's it. Again, apologies for the late start. My bad. I can't always get it right first time. I'm going a bit mad in my age, forgetting when I'm doing shows and stuff, getting too busy. Anyway, massive shout out to Bell for continuing to support the show. Helmets, but also got a new sponsor, Crossbox lap timing. I don't know if you've seen it. We're gonna get some product up on our next show. But basically, Crossbox obviously sticks on top of your crash helmet and you can get a load of data from it and all that. So thanks to those guys for coming on board. We get a proper ad and get all the details up for the next show. That's us done. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't know actually when the next one is. I'm going to move it a few things about now, but needless to say, in the next month or so, we'll do another one of these. Maybe get Stu back on. Bob's always good entertainment, good value. So that's me done for another month or so. Thanks for your continued support. I'll see you at a race sometime soon. If not, I'll see you on here. Stay safe, everybody. Catch up with you soon. Thanks a lot.